All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show at Levi's after the 49ers lose. 33-19 was the final to the Baltimore Ravens here on Christmas night. It was an ugly game. It really was. What can you say? Brock Purdy threw 4 interceptions. The Niners on the night threw 5. The Ravens came in. They were hard hitting. They made play after play after play. Lamar Jackson had a number of really impressive runs. He threw for 252 yards, but he also ran for 45 yards, over almost 6.5 yards a carry. Baltimore got the ball first in the first quarter, and they went 3 and out. And the Niners drove the ball down the field immediately. Purdy found Kittle for 56 yards down to the 28. But on 1st and 10 from the 15-yard line, Purdy was intercepted by Kyle Hamilton. Purdy just never saw Hamilton. And that was interception number 1. And that negated what would have been probably a touchdown. He was looking at Debo in the end zone. Hamilton ducked in, made the pick. And that was interception number 1. So the Ravens then get it from their own 8-yard line. And they moved it down the field. Or I should say they didn't move it down the field. Lamar Jackson got an intentional grounding for a safety. Fred Warner was on the rush, and the Niners were up 2-0. So you're thinking, okay, all right, they didn't get the touchdown. They had the pick, but they're up 2-0. They get the ball back, and on their second possession, they drove it from their own 21. Purdy found Ayuk on the sidelines for 18 on 2nd and 5. And they moved the ball down the field, but then Purdy on 3rd and 9 from the 27 threw incomplete, and Jake Moody had to kick a 45-yard field goal. So the Niners are up 5-0, 10-play drive, 52 yards in a little bit under 4.5 minutes. And you're thinking, okay, well, it's a weird start to this game, but the Niners are up 5-0 and things look good. But then the Ravens on their third possession took the ball from their own 25-yard line. And on a 3rd and 3, Jackson threw to Isaiah Likely, and there was a PI penalty against Gibson. And then on a 2nd and 6 from the 30-yard line of the Niners, Jackson threw to OBJ, incomplete. And there was a defensive hold on Gibson again. So 2 Tayshaun Gibson penalties brought them down to the 15-yard line. And then Greenlaw came up big on a Jackson quarterback run, tackled him for a loss on 2nd down. And then 3rd and 8 from the 12, Ambry Thomas made a nice solo tackle against Aguilar, and the Ravens were forced to settle for a Justin Tucker field goal. So he comes on and makes the field goal to make it 5-3. 49ers on the next possession would take it. On the very first play, Purdy found Kittle for 20 yards. Then Purdy went to Debo against Stevens for 15 yards. And then Purdy's pass was tipped by Stevens and intercepted by Marlon Humphrey. 2nd interception of the game for Brock. So that one hurt because then the Ravens took the ball roughly midfield, their own 47, and they moved it down the field. Jackson found OBJ against Greenlaw on a stop route on 3rd and 4 to keep the drive alive. And then 4th and 1 from the 1, Gus Edwards went in from 1 yard out to make it 10-5 Ravens, 11-play, 53-yard drive. So you're thinking, okay, Niners are down 10-5. It's still not that big a deal. But then on the very next possession, Purdy threw to Kittle, and the pass was tipped. And this was a ball where he never should have thrown it. He didn't realize that there were multiple flags down for an offensive line chop block. So he's trying to make a play, and he's late to Kittle, who the ball gets tipped. It gets intercepted by Hamilton, interception number 3. And now this one was really painful because it put them on the doorstep at the 20-yard line. But still, the 49er defense would hold, and Tucker kicked a 41-yard field goal, and it's 13-5. So despite at that point, 3 interceptions, they're only down 13-5, and you're feeling good. It's still in the second quarter. Now the 49ers would then take it on their 5th possession and drive it down the field. On 3rd and 1, Purdy went quarterback sneak for 2 yards to keep the drive alive, and then CMC eventually would score on 1st and goal from the 9 to make it 13-12 Baltimore. So you're feeling pretty good at that point. Niners then Baltimore got it on their 6th possession, And Javon Hargrave got a key sack of Jackson on first down. Javon Hargrave also got a deflected pass on 2nd and 15, but the drive stayed alive because Ambry Thomas got a defensive holding penalty. And then later in the drive, huge play. It was a 3rd and 16 play. It's probably the biggest play of the game. 3rd and 16 from the Niner 41, and Jackson scrambled for 30. Chase Young had him sacked in the backfield, and he couldn't bring him down. And Jackson ran for 30 yards down to the 10-yard line. And still the Niner defense held, as Tucker had to kick a field goal to make it 16-12 Ravens. That capped an 11-play drive. So it's 16-12 at halftime, and you're thinking, okay, well, the Niners are not looking good. They've really outplayed Baltimore in the first half, but the 3 interceptions, made it so that Baltimore led by 4 at the break. The Niners actually averaged 7.9 yards per carry in the first half, but they were -3 in turnovers. 2 interceptions from Kyle Hamilton, 1 from Marlon Humphrey, 3 field goals from Justin Tucker. And you still felt like, hey, you know what? 49ers are going to win this game. They're only down 4. They're at home. Things did not look that bad, but the Niners went 3 and out on the first possession of the third quarter. And then Jackson found who was it that he found? I think it was it Edwards, Gus Edwards, for 41 yards on 1st and 10 from the 44, and that brought it down to the 3. Jackson eventually would score on a 6-yard touchdown pass, and really kind of a backbreaker at that point. I mean, that made it 23-12. On the very next play of the game, Purdy threw his 4th interception. He was hit by Travis Jones. The ball came out, intercepted by Patrick Queen, and it looked like Trent Williams may have stripped Queen of the ball, but Queen was ruled down by contact, and so the Ravens had the ball at the 9 or 9-yard line. And on the very first play, Lamar found Zay Flowers for a 9-yard touchdown. It's 30-12, and the route was on from there. Trent Williams at that point went out with a groin injury, and the Niners were looking at replacements on the offensive line. On the next Raven possession, they would score on a Justin Tucker field goal to make it 33-12. 49ers, tried to get back in it, but just they couldn't do it. I mean, it was just not their night at all. Too many penalties, too many mistakes, too many turnovers. Purdy would lead a drive on their 10th possession in the fourth quarter that would start at the 9 or 10-yard line. And Purdy threw to Ayuk for 33 yards on 2nd and 15, and then a quarterback sneak for -3 yards, or quarterback sack, I should say, for -3 yards on 1st and 10 from the 28, and Purdy had to go into the blue tent. He got a stinger. Sam Darnold came in. Darnold would find Ronnie Bell for a 12-yard pitch and catch to make it 33-19, but that's as close as the 49ers would get, as pretty much that was it. I mean, 49ers just kind of ran out of time. 5 picks was the story. Ugly game. Some people will say, hey, quarterback controversy, that's ridiculous. But Brock had a stinger. Trent went out. Spencer Burford had to play right tackle. You look at Aaron Banks, he had sounds like a recurrence of his turf toe injury. So the Niners lose this one, and just a painful loss. Jalen Moore left the game as well. Banks left with the toe injury. Trent Williams left. So it was a makeshift offensive line there at the end. Just wasn't the Niners' night. It was a great holiday game. There was a festive crowd. People were into it. But the Ravens are a damn good team. And Kyle Hamilton is a terrific player. Hamilton himself went down with an injury in the second half in this game. But the Niners will have to lick their wounds. They've got Baltimore. They've got the Commanders and the Rams coming up, and they got to win some of these games to get that number 1 seed. They're still very much in control if they can win out. But, man, ugly game tonight for the 49ers. Join us on YouTube. We'll do our post-game show. Kev is here with me at the stadium. Hopefully JD will join us, Rye, Danny, the full group baller. So hope everybody had a Merry Christmas and a great day, but not a great day for the 49ers as they fall by 14, 33-19. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring this video. And join us on YouTube for the postgame show, which starts minutes from right now on the Krug Show on YouTube.